Okay, so today I'm going to try and give you an explanation of how I manage savings, how I make interest from savings. I'm not very good at these sorts of videos because I am so used to just doing these things that I find them very hard to explain. It's just so inbuilt in me how I do stuff. So I started to accumulate savings back in 2009, and it's been very up and down. So my savings began because I had a small divorce settlement, and then sometime around 2017, I had a small inheritance from an aunt who passed away. But hanging on to those savings has been very up and down. I have relied on them quite a lot since 2009, and really up until the last year and a half ago, to fill gaps in my income, because my income has been all over the place since then. So in 2009 I was at university for 3 years. I was using some of that savings to bump up the maintenance grant that I got from university. It was back in the days when there were maintenance grants you didn't have to pay back, and I was using that to top up so that I could pay rent and get food and buy materials for my course and all that sort of thing. Then I came out of university and I started my business, and I had to go back into work part-time while I was doing that. So again, that's very up and down. I was relying on savings in part through that. And in 2015, I moved here to the Northwest, and I had better work for a time, so that for a little bit of time I wasn't using savings, but I was investing in new things because I had a studio in town, so I was investing in my sewing machine and things like that. So a little bit of savings was going in and out, all that sort of thing. And I kind of hung on to as much of my savings as I could because work was unpredictable. And then in 2018, I moved in here, and then a few months later I lost my studio in town. So I had to basically start working from home, which was fine in itself, but it did cut off a lot of the income stream that I was getting from my business. So again, savings were very much a part of keeping everything paid whilst I settled into yet another new routine. And then in 2020 we had COVID, so there were payments coming in from the government, as most of us had, but I was still in part, although my business did really well in COVID because we were in lockdown. And one of the things that I started to sell, because I saw a trend in it during COVID, was arts and crafts materials. So I raided my studio and sold pretty much everything that anyone would buy that was a material, like zips, buttons, thread, fabric, all that sort of thing. So it wasn't like amazing earnings, but it was pretty good considering we were in lockdown, and I was still learning how to be a real frugal lifestyler, but I was getting there, so it wasn't too bad. And since we have come out of that, I have had to streamline my life even more. Income has continued to dwindle, and then in 2022 I started with the side hustles because I'd reached the point where I couldn't just keep on living on my savings. They were dwindling and going down and down and down. And so I started with the side hustles that was bolstering my dwindling business income because of the way everything was changing and the way bills were going up. And I finally found a point in the middle where I had got my life down to very streamlined, very frugal, but I'm still okay with it, with an income that is just above that. So I'm making a little bit of money every month and putting back into the savings that I have spent over the last 12, 13 years. And just over a year ago, I finally decided that I felt safe enough to start investing in retirement. I haven't had no retirement funding in my life. So at 49 and a bit, I opened a SIP pension with Aviva. And then I also opened a stocks and shares ISA with them, which is managed by them, because I don't really know how the market works. So, and that will work out fine. That for me, it won't be a long enough term investment to make a good retirement. I'll have 20 years. But if we still have a state pension, it will help top that up. And if I'm fit enough and able enough to keep working, if I can keep running what is left of my business, that will help, not only from an income point of view, but because businesses come with expenses you can claim back, and that helps to keep you below tax brackets. So I'm hoping that the business will enable me to get my tax down a bit, and therefore I won't get taxed loads on my retirement funds, because they tax you on everything. So that's kind of the projection at the moment. Now, when it comes to savings, because I have low outgoings, but I also have a low income, I can't afford to take income and put it into savings. So what I do is I let all the savings self-fund. So I have various different types of savings accounts, and I'm a spoiler alert here, I am not going to tell you how much money I have in savings for various reasons. Because there are strange people on YouTube, there are trolls, there are people who will try and scam you, and I don't want to put myself in a vulnerable position in terms of that. Also, it's no one's business how much money I have in savings, but some people seem to think I secretly have a lot of money in savings. I don't consider it to be a lot. It's not going to give me a good retirement. And, you know, I'm just trying to protect myself in a way that I have never done before. So I'm going to show you a pie chart which has the percentages. So it'll show you the percentages of where all my savings are. So those percentages will add up to 100%. So here is my pie chart, and you can see all the different kinds of funds. In the grey you will see my self-invested personal pension, and then below that in the yellow you will see my stocks and shares ISA. I drip feed money into each of those accounts monthly, and with my savings I use the drip feed method, which I have talked about before, and I will add a link up here somewhere so you can go and look at that. And what that means is that you have all your savings in one easy access account that earns interest, and then from that fund you are able to grab other savings accounts when the interest rates are worth taking. So that means that all my saving funds are funded from existing savings, because I can't afford to take income and put it into savings, because that will mean I'm short on any particular month. So the SIP and the ISA are funded from the easy access, which you can see at the top, and then the other funds that I have a 6-month emergency fund, which is in the blue at the top, and I have a car fund. I'm saving up towards my next car. I don't know how much it's going to be. I don't know what car it's going to be, but I know that at some point, probably within the next 5 years, I'm going to need to have another car. So I want to save up as much cash as I can, because my credit rating isn't great, and there's no way I'm going to get good credit on a car, whether it's new or second hand. So both of those are currently in, and I know that you're not supposed to put emergency funds into a locked account. They're supposed to be there so you can grab them immediately. But I've decided that because of the way interest rates are working at the moment and inflation and all that sort of thing, what I have done, I have combined the 6-month emergency fund and the car fund into one pot, and I've put it into a 1-year fixed bond account, which I think is at 4.59 at the moment, and I've locked it away for a year with a bank called Secure Trust. So I will get that back in a year's time, and that means that to a certain extent, with inflation and everything else, those accounts will grow a little bit on their own because they will be growing from the interest from that fixed bond. So they are self-funding and locked away, and I can't touch them, and that's that. I also have some locked regular savers, which I know don't produce enormous amounts of money. Some of them I only pay £50 a month into, some of them I pay $250 into. But because I'm using the drip feed method, so monthly that money is earning interest in the Easy Access, and my Easy Access at the moment is with Ulster Bank. And then monthly I take out whatever I need and put it into those locked regular savers. So it's earning a bit more money at a higher rate. So one of my locked regular savers has a rate of 6%, and the others are all over 5%. And again, those will be coming out in over the next few months. One account might mature in June, one in July, one in September, that sort of thing. So that's how I do savings. So I'm although my income is slightly higher than my outgoings, I don't want to like lock it away and then if I run into problems, because I've locked away my 6-month emergency fund, I need to know that there are other things I can get. And the reason I locked away that 6-month emergency fund is because in the next few months some of my locked regular savers are coming out, and my Easy Access account will then grow again. And what I have a rule that I always keep X amount in the Easy Access, and then that covers emergencies. So if my car has an expensive repair, if something happened to my laptop or my phone, the money is there. And at the moment my Easy Access has about 6,000 in it, and that is there earning its own money. Some of it might be there to be reinvested if a really great deal comes up, but primarily it's there so that I'm not worrying. So there is always some instantly available cash on hand for actual emergencies that are, I need that money right now. And that way I don't stress about money. This is what works for me. Different things work for different people. And some people will say, well, why don't you just spend the savings? Money's there to be spent. I don't get that much joy out of spending money. I like to be considered in how I spend my money, and it gives me a lot of peace of mind and removes a lot of stress from my life, knowing that my money is working for me, that it's increasing by small amounts, over the course of a year. Like this year, the rates aren't so good. This year, I will make about £900 in interest across those accounts, the ones that will cash in. That doesn't include the ones which are locked until next year. That's a whole different thing. So let's have a look and see if I have covered everything. So that's that covered. So I do live a frugal life, and some people seem to think that if you live a frugal life then you must be poor. I don't class myself as poor. I class myself as comfortable in terms of I don't worry about money. I don't have a lot of money. I couldn't afford to go on a holiday abroad or buy a brand new car. I don't have that sort of money available to me. But I'm careful with it, and it means I don't worry. And that is pretty much all I can hope from it at the moment. And because incomes are very up and down, it's important for me to know that if I have a bad month, I'm not struggling to pay the credit card, or can I afford to buy the food that I need this month? And it's incredibly valuable to your mental health to just be able to say, okay, that money is aside for emergencies. If something dreadful happens, I'm covered. I don't have to worry about that. And different people will give you different advice on emergency funds. I read a statistic not that long ago which said that the average person in the UK has £17,000 worth of savings, and depending on your lifestyle will depend on how much you need to put aside and have permanently put away for emergency usage. And by that we mean emergency bills. So if you lost your job tomorrow, do you have enough money put away in an account that you can access that will keep all your bills and your basics and your essentials paid for 6 months? I don't mean like crazy spending money and holiday money. I mean, will you still be able to pay your rent, pay your energy bills, put food on the table, pay your water bills, insure anything that's coming up within that 6 months, and those things are covered. And if I get a situation where I need to take money out of savings to pay for something because I don't have enough ready cash, I try and put back as much that's left over from my monthly income as possible to bolster that back up, because I want to see my savings always growing. And I really depleted my savings back in that 2009 to say 2018, almost 2020 period. It's only really been in the last year and a half and in the last tax year that I've been able to say I haven't needed to use any of my savings to pay for my basics. And that's been such a major thing for me, because it's been a long time since I've been able to live just off my income. And that's why I was able to think about the pension and the stocks and shares ISA for retirement, because I finally reached a point where I thought, okay, I've stopped having to rely on savings to survive. Now I can start thinking about investing. And that's been the story of my life. I've never had a pension. I've never had a savings fund for retirement. So people go, oh, you're not worth it. It's a waste of money saving for retirement. It isn't. It really isn't. I mean, I anticipate living at least some bit of my life in retirement. There won't be enormous funds there. I'm not going to die and leave tons of money to relatives. There won't be that money there at all. But I just need to know that there is enough for me to, at the very least, be able to maintain the life I have now. And if I can get that in retirement, that'll be a start. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't retire for another 20 years because I've set my retirement for 70. And who knows what's going to happen in 20 years. I have no idea what's going to happen. So I'm planning for what I can only plan for, and we'll see what happens after that. So that's how I do savings. I hope that answers the question that I was asked. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. And I'm always like watching the market, so to speak. So I use Money Saving Expert to have a look fairly regularly and see if there are any new savings accounts coming up, anything. And I'll only look when I have money that I can theoretically spare, because no money is spare until you're dead. But if I can spare, say, an extra £200 a month because a regular saver's come up, then I will. And I look at I keep everything on spreadsheets so I know where all my money is. And I will look at that easy access savings and say, right, okay, let's say I've got 10,000 in there now because a regular saver just matured and I've cashed out. And there's a new one on the market which looks good, but it's a fixed bond. Can I spare, say, £5,000 to put into that fixed bond for, say, a 6-month fixed bond? Yes, because in 2 months' time, I have another regular saver that's maturing, and that will re-top up any shortfall I have on the easy access savings. And like I said, I try to keep about 6,000 in the easy access, give or take. It has been as low as 3 if I've seen a good deal and I've decided, okay, I can wing it for a couple of months. And equally, if I go below, I think it's £3,500 on my easy access, the interest rate drops. So I try to keep it up. The easy access account that I have at the moment only pays out the interest once a year. I haven't had that account very long, so that won't cash out till August, so I don't know what my interest is going to be on that. And because it goes up and down on a weekly basis, because I'm moving money in and out all the time, I don't know what that interest rate is going to be. Just going to have to wait for them to work that out. So the income comes in, all the spare money goes into the easy access, and then all my bills and everything is settled directly from the easy access, because I don't leave any money hanging around in current accounts, because current accounts have no interest rates and I want every penny working. So the current accounts are just there to pay bills like direct debits and things like that. Every spare penny goes straight from wherever account it's gone into, goes straight into the easy access, and then I pull it out as I need it, say to pay the rent, to pay the credit card at the end of the month, to pay for insurance or whatever else it needs to do. So every spare penny is sitting in easy access, which is instantly easy access. You know, if I want to move money across from there, I go straight into the app, put it in, a couple of minutes later it's in my bank account and I can use it. That is easy access. And that means that everything is constantly on rotation, and it means that you are constantly having to look at your accounts. You must be really good with your paperwork, put all your receipts in, make sure you know what's coming up. And a lot of people can't be bothered with that, and that's where they run into problems. But I enjoy doing that. I enjoy managing spreadsheets. I enjoy managing my money. It's one of the things that I really like for some strange reason. I don't know why, because I never used to. It feels like my little empire I am building, and I quite enjoy that because I have control over it. So I am happy to spend every day and just do a quick check, make sure I haven't missed anything. Every time I come back from a shop, I've got the receipt that goes straight down and goes straight on the spreadsheet, so I don't miss anything, because we don't want to accidentally be overspending or not paying our bills properly. And I know where everything is over the course of the year. It requires discipline. A lot of people don't have discipline. A lot of people aren't interested in having discipline. I like to have discipline, and I've always been, to a certain degree, very disciplined. I'm quite organised, I'm quite methodical, I'm quite logistical in that sense, so that works really well for me. So you don't have to do it on a spreadsheet. If you can't manage spreadsheets, you can keep a paper notebook, just so long as you're keeping track of everything and you know where everything is. Discipline is how you build your savings, even when you don't have much of an income. So some months I might earn £60 more than I spend out. Sometimes it might be a couple of hundred. It really, really depends. And as I say, it all goes straight into the easy access and then gets farmed out from there where it's needed. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't particularly like spending money. It's just not a thing for me. I don't get a buzz out of online shopping or spending a lot of money in restaurants or going on holidays. I stopped having holidays, and as a what's the word I'm looking for? As a compromise, I improved my work-life balance instead. So every day doesn't feel like a stress. So I don't need a holiday to get away from it. I do trips down to my parents. I do my car camping trips. I do hikes on days when it's nice enough to do hikes. So it isn't as if I really need a holiday to get away. And holidays, what is it? It's a sticking plaster. You come back and nothing's changed. I decided to change my life so that holidays were a necessity. So I have better work-life balance. Anyway, so that is that. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's answered questions. If anything isn't clear, do add to the comments. That's how I do savings. That's it. Thank you for watching, and hope that's been helpful. And I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.